Hello everyone, welcome back to Manga Goblin. I'm Trix, of course, and today we're going to talk about the late great Miura Kentaro's Berserk. Miura began a prototype of Berserk in 1988. The actual series though began in a magazine called Animal House in the following year, so it was in 1989. Berserk continues to be serialized, or did, intermittently. This was perhaps its greatest failing, that it took so long for chapters to come out. Now, Berserk joins the works of High School of the Dead or MM, or other great works where the authors and artists have left behind a manga that will never be completed, and in some ways that's both a blessing and a curse. It's both a blessing is maybe the ending would not be as some people wanted, and it would be a curse because, well, we'll never get an ending. Now, there are some films and there are some anime series of Berserk, but we're just going to look at the manga itself. Berserk is possibly one of the very first origins of a sort of meme, the guts pose, which was long before JoJo ever decided to portray certain poses, and they are done in certain memes today. Berserk circles around two basic characters, Guts or Gatsu, sometimes romanized as Guts. Is a mercenary who travels from company to company and is always fighting. In the beginning, he's portrayed as a sort of anti-hero character who does not care for the lives that he takes. He is simply a black sword and does not care about anything. Later on though, in other arcs, it becomes a more of a internal struggle of Guts taking lives and the notions of destiny and free will. Guts examines the human soul and is in fact a journey of an individual trying to find said soul. It is very dark and it is very emotive with the striking artwork of blacks and whites. It's almost disturbing in its content sometimes, and almost uplifting in others. Guts, this black swordsman, does eventually achieve his goal of getting a kingdom, but soon leaves it in the hands of others, choosing a life on the road and on sale. Guts is supported by a vast array of side characters, and that could be a video in itself. From his enemy, sometimes friend, Griffith, and his first interactions with that character are extremely disturbing, to say the least. His on-again, off-again love interest, Casca, is often put into extremely dark situations, and those situations are sometimes extremely hard to read. And while I won't go into those reasons exactly, because honestly Berserk is one of those things that you should experience and shouldn't experience. It's hard to recommend and it's hard to give a score simply because of it's so dark and its content. It has a lot of criticism, yet it has a lot of fans. Berserk, the manga, takes Western fantasy ideas from Norse, from almost a Roman-esque middle age type of thing, with taking a cursed swordsman and turning him into a deeply sympathetic yet flawed character. The other characters themselves are not one-dimensional, and that's probably its greatest saving in itself, that characters are so complex that you can't instantly hate them even for their abhorrent actions, and yet it's again extremely hard to say go and read this manga. It is fantastically drawn, and it is something of a masterpiece, if a flawed one, if a dark one. It's really sad that Miura is now no longer able to finish his magnum opus. I really hope that it doesn't get picked up by another person, simply because I do not believe they will do the characters justice. If anything, perhaps there is a little of guts in all of us, that we all seek to try and find ourselves in life. And even though we're not cursed like Guts himself, perhaps its ending is so abrupt and unfinished, it's just like ourselves, that one day we will simply cease without any conclusion. Now, I'm not going to give this manga a score simply because I can and can't recommend it at the same time. I would say that if you like anti-heroes, if you like dark content, if you like taking legends and parts of history and inserting them into a fantasy narrative, go for it, but expect it to be dark. Expect it to be extremely dark. A video on the various arcs could be something I might do in the future, but simply that video would be so long, I would have to do it in a series in itself. Again, I could look at the anime and compare it with the source material, but again, that would be a very long project, simply because there's so much material out there for Berserk. People love the Golden Age, and I can see why the arc, the Golden Age, because it explores Guts in such a unique and powerful way. Griffith himself is not one-dimensional anymore. The other characters such as Casca or the antagonists such as the God Hand are explored in unique ways that very few authors do, even now. It's emotive, it's beautiful, and it's dark at the same time. Anyway, my thoughts are with Miura's family and his friends and anyone who thinks of him. So yeah, I wanted to do that because, well, a little story time. Berserk was probably one of my very first mangas, and it was given to me in French class, and we had to translate the panels basically by my French teacher at the time. I often believed it was a French comic. It is available, most of it is available by Dark Horse, translated by Dark Horse Entertainment in North America, but we had French copies and we translated them. I didn't know it was a manga at the time. I thought it was a French comic, as I said. So yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. This video again is dedicated to Miura's friends and family and himself, of course, and his magnum opus Berserk. So on a rather sad note, take care everyone and have a great time.